Welcome to Advocacy in Motion. I'm your host, Tommy Finn, and if you've seen our program before, you know we are here to give a vision and a voice to nonprofit organizations and individuals making an impact in our community. If you've seen the program before, you will also notice that we are not back in our studios in Dallas, Texas. We are someplace special. And we're so special, I'd like to introduce three gentlemen you may know to tell you where we are today.
The President of the United States meets so many extraordinary individuals.
Among the most impressive are those who earn the Medal of Honor, the highest accolade our country bestows upon a member of the armed services.
The Medal of Honor is awarded for bravery in combat to those who go above and beyond the call of duty,
Risking their lives to save others, overcoming incredible odds, often making the ultimate sacrifice.
Of the estimated 40 million people who have served in the United States military since the Civil War, fewer than 4,000 have received the honor.
We salute these extraordinary Americans. We will never forget their sacrifices. We will always be inspired by their heroism.
Let's all come together to build a museum in their honor.
The National Medal of Honor Museum.
On a mission to inspire America.
Join the mission at mohmuseum.org.
Before I introduce our special guest today and guest host, I just want to say thank you to Niagara Corporation. They have been a sponsor of Advocacy in Motion since the beginning and will be with us for quite a few months to come and allow us to talk to and recognize more nonprofit organizations and individuals. But today we have a special guest and a guest host. I want you to know Christy Scales. You know her as Dallas Cowboys sideline reporter, host of the Jerry Jones Owner's Box, and numerous Dallas Cowboy podcasts and sportscasts. So welcome, Christy. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tommy. Excited to be here.
And our special guest is Chris Cassidy. He is the president and CEO of the National Medal of Honor Museum here in Arlington. Chris, thank you so much for being with us.
My honor. Thank you for having me.
All right.
Yeah, and Chris, we have to follow Bush, Obama, and Clinton, so we got a lot to live up to after that.
Right.
But I think that it's so exciting to be a part of the Cowboys organization and know that a block and a half away is where this fantastic museum is under construction and going to open in 2025. But before we talk about some of the specifics of the museum and what people can expect to see when they come here, let's talk about the Medal of Honor to begin with and why it's considered the most prestigious award that can be bestowed upon an American service member.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, glad to be with you guys. Thanks for having me. We're honored to be part of the show. So the Medal of Honor is our nation's highest award for valor on the battlefield. It is the epitome of heroism and courage for a military member. Very, very exclusive. There's been, since dinosaurs walked on the planet, there's been 3,516 actually, because we just awarded one new one, awards of the medal. Right, and there's 65 of those living today. It's a very, very exclusive company. In that same time, really since 1861, I joke around since dinosaurs walked on the planet, but 1861 the medal came to life, and in that time, that number of awards, 40 million people have worn the uniform. So just round it to 4,000 out of 40 million. It's a very, very small percent, a very exclusive company. Because it's such a significant act of heroism.
Yeah, and Chris knows of what he speaks because we say President and CEO of the National Medal of Honor Museum, but a former Navy SEAL who has been awarded the Bronze Star, also an astronaut, commander of the International Space Station, who's done multiple hours of spacewalks. And so you're a humble guy and don't like to talk about all of the things that you've accomplished in your career, but the reverence of which you speak of these National Medal of Honor recipients, I think pretty much says it. One thing we talked about, Tommy, we really appreciate the fact that it's a Medal of Honor recipient. They don't call themselves winners. Can you speak to how the mindset of the recipients and the way in which they carry it forward?
You know, it's really inspirational for me, and I think for others too, to hear the stories of these recipients, as you say, and a common theme in listening to all of them is we wear this medal for the brothers and sisters that we served with, those that made it back and those that didn't, and those that we fought side by side with. And for those reasons, the medal weighs more on their neck than the few ounces that it actually weighs on a scale. It means a lot. And because of all of that, I don't think any of them view themselves, and this is just from listening and hearing and understanding, becoming friends with many of them, that burden of wearing it for others. They are receive the medal from the nation, and they're holding the medal in trust for the nation and for those people that they served with. Therefore, they're a recipient of the honor. Nobody seeks to go and win the medal, as you say. Doing your action, the nation needed somebody to step up and do something, and those members did, and for that, they receive our highest award.
And it's awarded by the president, placed around their neck. It's my understanding that the president actually salutes the recipient. Is that correct?
The recipients, yeah.
I noticed in many of the videos I've seen of the award being presented that the emotion on the recipient seems very genuine. You see tears and you see how much it means to them and that burden that they had shouldered for so long, and just the importance of it for everybody there. And I think that's insignificant.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. There is one funny story that I'll share with you. My friend from the SEAL teams, and now also one of our board members, Britt Slabinski, who's a Medal of Honor recipient, right before walking out onto the stage, the chief of staff person, military assistant, was kind of describing to Britt, okay, this is what the sequence of events is going to happen. You're going to get called up, and the president's going to put it around your neck, and look on the back, there's 3 snaps here. Don't let it fall to the ground. Don't take your guard down until you hear 3 snaps, and that means the president's got it securely on your neck. So in all the pictures you see of Britt standing there at attention with a very somber look, he jokes around saying, the only thing I was thinking about was the sound of 3 metal snaps to get it secure on my neck.
And which president bestowed the honor?
That was Trump for him.
Really?
Yeah.
That's exactly. Now, we're so excited that here in Arlington, Texas, right in the heart of the Arlington Entertainment District, so literally across the street from where the Texas Rangers play, Globe Life Field, and old Globe Life Park, and now Choctaw Stadium is where the preview center is located here.
Where we are right now.
And we're going to be seeing a lot of photos and displays here, and just a block and a half away from AT&T Stadium, home of the Dallas Cowboys. But how did it come to be that Arlington, Texas is the home of the National Medal of Honor Museum?
It's a really cool story because there's a little bit of backstory that kind of paints the picture for it. So if you give me a minute, the Medal of Honor Society, the group of living recipients, and they have a small staff, and they're headquartered in Charleston, South Carolina. And for a while, the organization that I'm a part of now, the Medal of Honor Museum Foundation, also existed there. The leadership at the time, this is several years ago, 2016, 17, I'm not exactly sure, they said, hey, wait a minute, if we're going to build this museum for the nation, let's just take a pause and make sure we're putting it in the right spot. So they did kind of a national search and had some firms helping them, and about 20 serious competitors. It boiled down between Denver and in here in Arlington. And Charlotte likes to joke around and say, Denver brought Peyton Manning, so we had to do our best, and we brought Roger Staubach, and both cities presented a really wonderful case, but Arlington won out. In this case, I will say winner. We're the recipient of the Medal of Honor Museum, but Arlington won because centrally located in the country, easy access to the location with the DFW airport. You mentioned the stadiums all around us. What often folks don't know now is there's a giant convention center under construction,
Yes.
a brand new hotel, and very sports-themed environment with restaurants in the Texas Live area. So adding, from the city's perspective, I get it, seriously, why they were all in, because adding a cultural attraction to that mix just magnifies the value of what the visitors to this community can experience on game day. And or you got a 7 o'clock baseball game, what are you going to do with the kids, a family of 4 or whatever, you know, in the afternoon? You can hit the museum. Same thing on Cowboys, Saturday before Cowboys game, for instance. So it'll just add so much value to it, not just to this region, but we're delivering it to the nation.
And if you're bringing the kids to Six Flags, it's a block the other
Right.
direction, and so devote a day here. But
Yep.
I just, Tommy, Chris, I have to admit that when I first heard about it, I was so excited. I learned about it. You mentioned Charlotte. That's Charlotte Jones, the executive vice president of the Dallas Cowboys, and she is the chairman of the foundation that has done the fundraising for the National Medal of Honor Museum here in Arlington. And so the Cowboys organization, we're very involved in working in partnership with
We're so
Chris and the
thankful for
team
that
here.
partnership,
And
yeah.
Madeline Bisaccia, who works hand in hand with Chris, a former Dallas Cowboy employee, and her dad's a former coach. Hey, Coach Bisaccia, I know he's watching. Honestly, when Charlotte was first telling me about it, I'm like, how could there not be a National Medal of Honor museum or monument already? I was shocked that one had not already been erected, and along with the museum being built here in Arlington, in Washington, D.C., there will be a monument, not a museum, but a monument. So could you tell us about what's expected up in D.C. and the progress that is being made?
Absolutely. And you're not the first person to have that very same comment. Like, you mean this doesn't exist already? This is kind of a no-brainer. And so, of course, we should build it if there doesn't exist one. And so part of that process that I described about the search around the country, DC was under consideration, but it is very, very time intensive and therefore adds more dollar costs to the process if you look to put a museum in Washington, DC, and also real estate becomes a bit of a challenge too. So the organization very wisely chose to build a museum somewhere else here, and let's focus on a monument in DC, something a little smaller. Maybe we can put it on the mall area, and that's what we're going through right now. And to do so requires congressional legislation, and in fact it to be signed into law by the president. We did that in 2021, and what we're very, very proud of is the fact that in today's day and age, it's so hard to have something unanimously supported, but our effort was approved 416-0 in the House and 100-0 in the Senate, signed by President Biden right before Christmas of 21, giving us authorization to be in the National Mall, which I thought prior to this job, and probably many people do, the National Mall is the green strip of grass between Lincoln and Washington monuments and extending past Washington in the other direction. But actually the mall is defined as a much broader area. That part that I described is called the reserve. If you want to be on the reserve, because it's a very coveted piece of terrain, it requires a second piece of legislation that said, yeah, okay, you can be on the mall, but now you want to be on the reserve. Let's really kind of vet what your mission is. And that's the process we're going through right now. At the end of that, we'll be able to work with the National Park Services and some other organizations that are involved in the process to identify the exact plot of land. Because of the tie to President Lincoln, you know, his presidency put the medal into existence. We think somewhere in the Lincoln kind of area of influence, his memorial is a logical place for it to be.
Near the reflecting pool.
Reflecting pool. So there's a couple locations that we're working with them to identify, but right in there is where we hope and aspire for it to be.
Yeah, on one side of the reflecting pool is the Vietnam Veterans Memorial. On the other side, the FDR and the Korean War. Oh my gosh, that is just going to be spectacular.
And then once we get that legislation, then we can identify and have the plot identified. That's when the design process can unfold, because you need to know the geometry, the shape, the size, how much square foot you're dealing with before you can really go hardcore on a design.
Okay. Well, as for here in Arlington, Texas, again, going to open in 2025. What can people expect to see? What is the mission of the museum and that you hope to accomplish for your guests?
That's a great question, because that's really our guidepost. That we're on a mission. We say a mission to inspire America. What does that mean? That's a broad statement. There's lots of places where you can go to learn about military history. There's lots of museums where you can go see aircraft or tanks or jeeps from World War II. That is not this place. Our museum is going to be about the people, the individual human beings, American citizens, American soldiers who wore the uniform and were awarded the Medal of Honor. And their stories are not just only inspirational on that day when they did their action. They all come from different parts of the country, had normal upbringings or not, and those stories are interesting as well. We want to be able to connect with the visitors so that anybody can come and go, oh, I grew up in Des Moines, Iowa too, and oh, this guy did also, he attended my same high school, or whatever it is that draws somebody in to then be inspired by the story that they read about on that day. And many of the recipients have amazing stories post-military life as well, and kind of weaving that into the museum. So what we want to do is tell biographical stories that inspire people, and not everybody is going to have the opportunity to be on a battlefield with a military uniform on, right? Like that's a very, very small percentage of our country. But it takes courage in lots of other parts of our daily lives to perform, right? Whether it's a tough conversation with a loved one or your boss, or should I change jobs and move across the country and because I want to, but that's out of my comfort zone. All of that takes a different form of courage. And that's what we hope to do, inspire people to live more courageously in their life through these stories.
And so to me, that would imply a lot of interactive or visual things, so a lot of videos. I mean, museums these days, it's not like when we were kids and we'd go on field trips to some stuffy
See a
old
statue
thing.
and-
It seems like things have to be experiential. So how do you accomplish that experiential part of the mission?
You are right on track, anyway. You can't go read a plaque, move 3 feet, read another plaque, and think that you're going to inspire America. You know, those days are over. We're canvassing the country and have visited tens and tens of other museums, newly constructed, ones that are old and going through a renovation process to kind of bring it into this modern way for a museum visitor. We really want the experience to be impactful, and experience is more than just museum. So and we need to have the family of four, everybody in that family. I'm just saying family of four generically, you know what I mean? But everybody from the young person to the parents all have something that connects them in there. So we're working with a world-class museum design firm, Gallagher and Associates, and they've done many museums. I think most recently the Olympic Museum in Colorado Springs, and
Oh, that is fantastic.
yeah, it's a good one.
That's-
And there's other examples of their work too, and so they get it, they understand what we're trying to do, and together with them and through shared experiences with other museums that are just coming into existence in the country, we're looking to make sure we hit that mark exactly.
When we say museum, you know, visitors to learn about the mission and be inspired. But the thing that most impresses me about what's going to happen here in Arlington with the National Medal of Honor Museum is the second part of it, and that is the Institute, and which is implies continuing education. But
Right.
this isn't for kids. This is inspiring and instructing adults and decision makers, the movers and shakers of our country. So please tell us the exciting news about what we can expect with the Institute.
Yeah, we share that same enthusiasm for because the museum will be wonderful and it'll be a great thing to come visit, but that's just a small, if you think about the population of the country, a very small percentage of that can physically be here on a given year. So we aim to get that message out beyond just the confines of the walls of the museum, and the Leadership Institute is really our lever to do that. We've, again, in talking with lots of similar organizations, presidential libraries and different ones have leadership centers, universities do. We've settled on a model with 3 centers. We call it the Center for Character Excellence, which is K through 12 focused and really inspiring young people to have a life of character, lead a life of character. The Adult Center will be the Center for Leadership in Action, and that's kind of corporate, adult, future leaders of and with a working world to come through our training programs. And then the third center is like a think tank where we'll bring like organizations, similar-minded, explore concept, maybe endow scholarships and that sort of thing through that center. What we realized this last year, why do we got to wait until the museum is physically built to roll this content out? Like, we don't need those walls to start putting out
COVID
programs.
taught us that.
COVID taught you that.
Exactly.
So with that in mind, we are actively right now rolling out content in all three of those centers. A couple weeks ago, we sponsored an honor concept come together at the Air Force Academy with all the service academies represented. That was our first event in the think tank type center. The adult leadership program, the first flagship course that we're calling it, is the second week in May right here in Arlington. We've got 25 people already enrolled, and that will be the inaugural pilot program of that. And then we'll figure out what the right cadence of that will be each couple a year through 2 a year, 3 a year. We'll figure that out. And then on the youth side, with our partnership through the Cowboys, we got connected to EverFi, which
Great.
has an amazing program with the NFL called Character Playbook.
That's what Chris and I did together here.
Yeah, we did that together.
Yeah.
So that's it. As you know, Christine, like 27,000 classrooms already. We are working with EverFi right now to add a Medal of Honor module to the NFL's Character Playbook. So the NFL, EverFi, and us will do a joint project with that and have it be ready for next school year's fall of 2023. That will be deployed, and then parallel to that, developing our own standalone content that can go to classrooms as well. So really understanding that to impact the nation, you really got to leverage the internet and the ability to virtually learn.
And nation, but beyond. This is international. There are no boundaries to this. You're not
Exactly.
bound by. And the other thing is, when you talk about people that are coming to Arlington, whether it's a Ranger game or Six Flags or visiting family or to a Cowboy game, this museum will open in 2025. In 2026, guess what we're going to have right here that summer? The World Cup. Think of all of the international visitors that are going to get to come through your doors.
Yep, we'll be open and ready. We'll have a couple months of runtime under us and have all the bugs worked out.
That's great. I mean, the coordination of all of this together with the museum, the staff, the city of Arlington, the district, it's just been phenomenal how it's come together. And I know Arlington, when we were with the Cowboys early on, they were trying to find a place to put the stadium. Arlington came together and said, we want to work with you. And I think that's a great tribute to the whole community here, that you are here and that everyone is working together to make this grow and move forward.
Right. Yeah, just like the DFW Metroplex is centrally located in the country, Arlington is centrally located in the DFW Metroplex.
Exactly.
It's physically an ideal location, and the spirit of the people of Arlington and the leadership of the city of Arlington is just amazing. I couldn't be more proud to be part of it.
Well, if you are driving through Arlington or coming to a Rangers or Cowboys game or coming to Six Flags and you see the cranes, you see the construction work going just on the north side of Choctaw Stadium, which is the former ballpark in Arlington, former Globe Life Park field, that's this. You are seeing it underway, the National Medal of Honor Museum. But I want to talk specifically about the design. Now, Raphael Vignoli, the renowned architect who did the design, it's an interesting concept. It looks like a big block of steel, almost like levitating. But what were some of the things about the design and what people are going to see when they walk up and are awed by this building?
Yeah, Raphael told the story very, very well about how he was tasked with coming up with a unique design for this museum, and he walked into his office, and they have these big chunks of metal that hold down their models in their I call it craft room, but where they make all the models. And he picked up one of these hunks of steel, and he said, "This is exactly it. This block of metal is so strong, so bonded tight, forged by fire, and that's what I'm trying to represent." So he's kind of holding it in his hand, and that's what he gave him the aha moment of, hey, each one of these 5 pillars represents a military service, and that block it supports the block of the entire community of Medal of Honor recipients, and that was the sort of brainchild for the idea. It is sad. Raphael recently passed away, and this will be the last museum designed from scratch by Raphael Vignoli.
Wow.
So we're really proud to have that be with us, and he was a great partner.
What a wonderful legacy
Yeah, what
he's
a wonderful
leaving
legacy.
for
Yep.
this mission. In regards to other parts of the layout, so will the some of the exhibits and the video, the experiential part that we as visitors, will that be up in that block? Will that be down below? Will the Institute be up there? What can we expect when we come?
Right, exactly. Maybe when you show the museum on the model, or when you show the background footage, you can tell that as you enter from AT&T Way and come down like a ramp, you enter into this open air rotunda. On either side of the rotunda are these beautiful glass walls with our downstairs facilities. I'll talk about those in a second. And then you can ascend through these majestic stairs, or we will have a glass elevator shaft up into the museum deck. And all of the exhibits and the museum experience will be up there, save a few. We have some rotational capabilities downstairs where we can have rotating exhibits and multi-use space. The central part of that square has a hole in it, and when you come up from the stairs or the elevators drop you off, you enter into this, what we call the Medal of Honor experience, and that will be surrounding you with sound and video and just immersing you in what the medal means. And then you can explore the museum on your own pace after that. In the rotunda ground level, and I should say too that from the street you just see a grass field and then the building. That grass field is also a roof to the underground areas.
Oh,
Okay.
Where there'll be classrooms. There's a section where our staff will sit, the administrative wing. Of course, you got to have food and beverage in a retail store, and that's downstairs as well. A 240-person theater, and like a 4,500 square foot great hall, we call it. But that's really where we can use it for lots of things. One of the main messages we heard loud and clear when we went out and talked to other museums is multi-use flexible space. You gotta have it, and so we incorporated that into the design.
So if there are some decision makers that are watching this and they know that they're going to be coming to the North Texas area for whether they're putting on their own institutes or having some corporate events, or they need meeting spaces, or they need something fresh and new to do, that you would ask for them to reach out?
Absolutely. That's a huge part of our business plan, is not only selling tickets to visit the museum, but after hours or other times making use of the facilities, and we can kind of be as creative as anybody wants in terms of what we can host, and we're glad welcome those ideas.
It's certainly a welcome addition and opportunities for our area, and we're pleased, more than pleased, that you guys are here.
And it's been so fun from the Dallas Cowboys perspective to get to meet dozens of the living Medal of Honor recipients who have been our guests on game days. And one of the really exciting things this past year had to do with My Cause, My Cleats. And NFL fans may know that throughout the league, this has been going on the past several years, but there'll be a December weekend during the season, and the football players are allowed, most of them do it pregame, some in the game, but they wear designer cleats. And it'll have logos or the painting, and it'll be for a specific charitable cause. Well, Chris, I want you to tell the folks about what the Cowboys offensive linemen, led by Zach Martin, what they did with My Cause, My Cleats for the 2022 season.
It was so cool, so inspirational. With those Medal of Honor recipients that were in town, we joined them up after practice on the day before the game, and Zach right there, specifically Zach, told them, hey, we are going to honor you guys with the whole offensive line wearing the Medal of Honor museum logo on their cleats. So the offensive line, it was such a touching tribute. It was really awesome.
Yeah, and then I'll tell you a little behind the scenes. What then what happens? The coaches got on board.
Okay.
So Coach McCarthy, then the coaching staff. So they were all wearing the matching Medal of Honor cleats, same as the offensive linemen, and same as the Medal of Honor recipients who were there. That was also the game, and Cowboy fans will remember this. We've actually done it each of the past 2 years, but there'll be one game where there is a red stripe on the Cowboys helmet. So instead of blue, white, blue, it's red, white, and blue, and that is in recognition of the National Medal of Honor Museum here in Arlington. And so I just invite that must be kind of the fun part for the recipients to get to kind of interact and feel part of game day.
It is, and to have the Cowboy community be part of our project like this, it means so much to us. And the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, and we feel like this museum will be America's museum, and it's just a fantastic partnership.
Yeah, and then America's pastime, right, with baseball. What are some of the fun things that you've done with the Texas Rangers? Or I know that you have a partnership with that organization.
Yeah, we sure do. We're in their old field and across the street from the new field, as you said earlier. And the Rangers have been wonderful partners just in the day-to-day stuff, but also the leadership of the organization. Being big contributors, as well as on our board of directors. It's just this whole sports community is all bound pretty tight, and for us to be a part of it's really fantastic.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Tommy, because you look at the sponsors, whether it's individuals or corporations or nonprofits that or the people that have come in. It's really seems like it's there's a real variety of support. And so when you go and you're speaking to new people and asking them to come on board, what is the general reaction? What's your pitch, and what's the main reaction that you get?
Well, very similar to how it was universally passed, the bill through Congress, everybody understands what the value of this museum can be to the nation, but not just the museum, but what the message, what the influence, the positive, bringing people together nature of what our mission is something that people can get behind right away. And everybody contributes in their own way, whether it's a financial way or offering time or plenty of volunteers. In fact, I'm looking across the room right now as somebody that was helping us stuff folders for an event that we have. Not you, Tommy, but stuffing folders.
But he's available.
He's
Bring
available.
him over. We'll
Available.
stuff him.
I will do that, certainly.
So we get support in so many ways, and because it's just something that resonates with people. It doesn't. Nobody's asking you to make any decides or pick anything. It's just this is for our nation and for our heroes of the nation.
As we recognize nonprofit organizations on Advocacy in Motion, the one theme is partnerships and the value of exactly what you're talking about, people coming together for a cause, to help, to volunteer. And I think that makes everything work, is a partnership. And I see that quite a bit here, and going forward it's going to be terrific.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and for the people who are watching this who are inspired and maybe want to get involved, if they're here locally in North Texas and would like to volunteer, or maybe they're outside of our area but would like to help possibly through a donation or anything else, what's the best way to get involved and to help?
The website's a natural thing, mohmuseum.org, and you can find out all about our activities there. Of course, there's a donate button if you'd like to. You can contact us if you need more information or like specifically interested in volunteering time. All of that's available there.
Well, I know it's just like a year and a half away from the time of this taping, but we're close. It can't get here close enough.
Right.
It's going to be, I know that but it's going to be like that.
It'll go by quick.
It really will. It really will.
Well, this has been great. I really appreciate your time. There's so many people we want to thank. Our sponsors, Niagara, again, and Piranha Haven. They allow us to be here and to have this program. And also the people here, Tom Farovid, who helped put this together and has been a good friend of ours for our program. Maddie Bisaccia and her assistants were very instrumental in helping us get together. And, of course, Dave French, our producer, is here doing an admirable job, so we appreciate his time today too. And of course, Christy, always.
Oh, it was
and,
fun.
And Chris, thank you so much for
Oh,
your
yeah, my
time
pleasure.
and for
Thank
sharing
you.
with us.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks, Tommy.
Thank you.